You're listening to the Around the Huddle podcast, powered by PAC-Hub. Around the Huddle, college sports beyond the game.
Hello and welcome in, everybody, to our new episode of the Around the Huddle podcast, where we talk about college sports beyond the game. I'm your host, John Gross. As always, super grateful to all of you for tuning in to our show. A reminder before we start, like, comment, subscribe. By doing that, it gets us more visibility, allows us to tell all of these interesting stories on the ever-changing landscape of college athletics to more and more people. Talking about one of the recent developments in the world of college athletics, how a school went from the NCAA tournament from March Madness to D3 in the span of 1 week. But before we get to that and our awesome guest to talk about that topic, take a look bottom of your screen. A reminder that we are powered by PAC-Hub. PAC-Hub presenting athletes with opportunities. If you are a student athlete and you enter the transfer portal, when you go in there, all that a coach might see is your name and your NCAA ID. They don't see stats. They don't see the academic information. They don't see the measurables, the heights, the weights, all of that stuff. That is where PAC-Hub comes in. That's the PAC-Hub difference. By entering the PAC-Hub portal as well, it will populate your stats, your measurables, academic info, basically all sorts of specifications that allow coaches to go in and search for you. It's a great way for you to get exposure. And then from the coach's perspective, if you are looking for that missing piece, if you want that guard, that right-handed pitcher, that power bat, whatever it may be, to bring your team to the next level, that's where PAC-Hub comes in. You can search by all different sorts of specifications, all different qualities that you are looking for in your student athlete. It's in the PAC-Hub portal. So give them a visit, pac-hub.com. Again, pac-hub.com for all of your PAC-Hub needs, transfer portal needs, also some NIL stuff in the work as well. So certainly check them out. Okay, today we are going to be talking about what to me is a really sad story, actually. Of course, there was a lot of excitement in this new era of college athletics, a lot of intrigue, a lot of question marks, a lot of uncertainty. There's also some sadness because not every school is going to be able to compete at the level that some of these bigger schools are able to do so. One of those schools is St. Francis University. The Red Flash are located in Loretto, Pennsylvania, which is about midway between State College, PA, and Pittsburgh. So in a tough spot to compete athletically with Penn State and Pitt, both power conference schools kind of surrounding you. However, earlier this month, St. Francis made history. For the first time in 34 years, the Red Flash made it to March Madness, the NCAA men's basketball tournament. But a week later, things really changed when the school announced that it would be moving from the D1 to the D3 ranks. And to talk about this move and everything that's gone into it, our guest today is Jordan Mansberger. Jordan has been covering this story since day one. He is a multimedia journalist for WTAJ, the CBS affiliate in Altoona, Johnstown State College in that Loretto, Pennsylvania area. So without further ado, let's welcome in today's guest, Jordan Mansberger. Jordan, thanks for hopping on today.
Hey, happy to be here, man. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you as well. And look, you've had a busy couple of weeks. I was watching your story on that watch party at St. Francis, where students were packing one of the on-campus buildings, watching their Red Flash play in the NCAA tournament for the first time in 34 years. They lost on basically a buzzer beater, a heartbreaking loss. And then a week later, you are covering St. Francis announcing that it's dropping from D1 to D3. So what has this recent stretch been like for you to see the jubilation of the students to really the heartbreak and the disappointment of the announcement last week?
You know, I was thinking about this morning. So you mentioned that watch party that they had for the game against Alabama State there in the first four. And really just, I got on campus that day, was just kind of walking around, taking some different B-roll shots. And I'm not sure if you saw like the shirts that they were selling, like the Nowheresville shirts, and like literally half the students I saw walking around that day had on Nowheresville shirts for Loretto, PA, and like you said, it's kind of sandwiched in the middle there. Really, I mean, Loretto basically is St. Francis. Like, St. Francis is an incredibly small school. Loretto really is almost kind of like a branch off of Ebensburg in a way. Like, it's just kind of tucked back in the woods there. You take a turn off Crescent if I'm heading there from the station, and you're there in about 20 minutes. But anyway, I was thinking about this. I was there for the watch party, and there was just like a ton of excitement in the room. You could tell like all the students, everybody that I talked to beforehand was just like on cloud nine, about just how much excitement they had. It was the first time in like, I believe it was 31 years that they had made the tournament. And so there was just a bunch of excitement. But in that story, if you remember, I talked to that one girl who was sitting in the back of the class. Well, not back of the class, back of the watch party. She's sitting back there, and she was working just on her laptop and doing homework. And I got it like a fun soundbite from her where she said, like, I'm just working on my lab report. While like the game was going on, I was sitting in the back there and just kind of talking with her, and just asked her, like, where are you from? And she said, oh, I'm from the Netherlands. And that, kind of shocked me. And so I was like, well, how'd you end up from there, to Nowheresville, Pennsylvania? And she goes, well, I came to play soccer and everything. And just said, like, that's, and I was like, oh, well, that's kind of a shock, like, to come this far. And she just talked about like how much she loved the small campus atmosphere, just how most of her friends were athletes in other sports. And really, I was just thinking about that and how really nobody saw this coming. And that's been the reaction from students. I mean, I don't know about you, but like I get on like my entire TikTok For You page for the past week has just been St. Francis student athletes basically voicing like what a shock this has been to them, that now a lot of them are considering leaving the campus that they fell in love with for that small school atmosphere. Like just speaking from experience and everything, like having been there, it's a lot different, than say, John, like me and you having gone to Penn State. It's a lot different in the sense that almost everybody at St. Francis, it seems like, knows each other. And it really is that small school atmosphere. And it just felt like absolutely nobody saw this coming, especially like the next week whenever it was announced. So
you mentioned the student athletes and coming from the Netherlands to St. Francis. I was reading about 40% of the student population at St. Francis, they're student athletes, and that's 40% of about 1,600 to 2,000 students. So it's a small school. Let's dive into the details to start here. So March 18th is when the St. Francis men's basketball team played against Alabama State in that opening round of the NCAA tournament. Again, lost in a heartbreaker, first appearance in March Madness in about 30 years. Exactly 1 week later, it was announced that St. Francis would be dropping down from D1 to Division III beginning in the 26-27 athletic year. So they will spend one more year at the D1 level, but then going to D3. And for those who aren't familiar, D1, obviously the top athletic tier. D3 is the lowest of the NCAA rungs. Still really impressive athletes for sure, but they do not offer athletic scholarships. So let's start there. Why is this happening? Why did they make that announcement on March 25th that St. Francis would be dropping down from D1 to D3?
Yeah, and as far, like, literally, like you said, it came a week after that game. And so there's been a lot of speculation on why they waited a week to announce it. A lot of people, you hear the rumors. You don't really, the biggest thing is we don't really know when that decision was made. Of course, you hear the speculation of people being like, well, they didn't want to ruin March Madness for everybody, but that's neither here nor there. So whenever I was at the press conference, then I believe that was, we're recording this on a Monday. I believe that was last Thursday, the PAC, where they held the press conference entering the PAC. During that press conference, only the commissioner of the PAC and the president of St. Francis, Father Malachi Van Tassel, they were the only two who spoke during that. It was a very, very small press conference. It was in like the third floor of, I believe it was the Stokes building. It was just kind of like a small room in there that they had set up with a podium. Both of them had been made available for media and answered questions. But as far as why this was made, which I did ask during like the press conference, and once you get past the happy to be joining the PAC quotes, and all the quotes about like, oh, this will allow St. Francis to kind of take the next step into the future of their athletics. Once you get past that, and I was able to ask questions to Father Malachi, he gave a really interesting answer when I said, what were the core decisions of this? Because this was an administration decision. This doesn't seem to me, at least, like anybody from athletics really, like, it seems to me that a lot of people in athletics were kind of blindsided by this. And so I asked him, like, what were kind of just the justification, at least from the administration standpoint, for this move. And he gave a really interesting answer where he said I believe his quote was, it's NIL, it's the transfer portal. And he went on to say that, like, St. Francis, 2,000 some student population, 40%, around 40% of which, I'm not really sure on that exact number, but around 40% of which are student athletes. They don't have these massive donors that, say, a Penn State or even a Pitt would have to be able to compete in D1 in terms of NIL. And so you can really see that was really weighing on them. But then also he had a really interesting quote where he said, I don't like to say that we changed anything. He said, I believe that D1 changed around us. And that really stuck with me because I think, whenever of course the transfer portal's been around for a longer period of time. But I feel like in recent years, whenever, like, with people seemingly hopping in the portal all the time, I feel like the consensus, at least, and what I had, I'm guilty of thinking this too, that I think a lot of people believe that the transfer portal would make it easier for these small schools like a St. Francis, to get that high-end talent to be able to compete. And this doesn't appear to be the case, at least if you look at it from the administration's perspective. It just seems to me like the money wasn't there, and we've been talking about this a lot back at the station as well too, with how we were kind of shocked that, like, whenever the announcement first came out, we thought that maybe it's just for all sports, except for football, basketball, maybe softball, because St. Francis is a perennial powerhouse in softball as well. Mm-hmm. But we thought that maybe those would still be staying D1. But whenever that announcement came, like, it's really, everybody's just been blindsided by it.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm one of the PAC-Hub's AI specialists. Today, I want to show you why PAC-Hub is the ultimate platform for college baseball players looking to transfer to a new college program. First, let's take a look at our extensive network of coaches. With over 150 coaches actively using our system, you have a huge pool of experts to connect with. Imagine having access to all these experienced coaches searching for talent like yours. You even have the ability to connect with any of these coaches via our internal messaging system. This means more opportunities to showcase your skills and find the perfect new team. Now let's switch gears and see things from a coach's perspective. Coaches can easily search for athletes by position or stat. Let's say I'm looking for a left-handed pitcher with good pitching stats. With just a few clicks, I can find top-performing pitchers who meet my criteria. This efficient search functionality ensures that coaches find the perfect fit for their teams and athletes get matched with opportunities that suit their strengths. PAC-Hub is all about connecting talent with opportunity. Whether you're an athlete looking to transfer to a new college team or a coach searching for the next star player, PAC-Hub has the tools you need to succeed. Don't miss out on the chance to be part of this amazing community. Join PAC-Hub today and take the next step in your baseball journey. Visit www.pac-hub.com to sign up now.
The other thing about it that stood out to me is that not only are they dropping down from D1, but they're dropping down from D1 to D3, not to D2. And as you well know, being from Pennsylvania, working in PA, there was a fantastic Division II conference. The PSAC is one of the better Division II conferences in all of college sports. So has there been any talk about why they haven't gone D2 and why instead they're going D3?
Yeah, so they actually touched on that too. And the justification that Father Malachi had given was that the PAC, the President's Athletic Conference that they just joined, basically the justification that he gave is that it suits St. Francis very well geographically. In that I don't believe their travel from leaving the NEC now to the PAC, it's not, now don't get me wrong, it's not like they were traveling cross country, flights like that before, going from PA to California, anything like that, obviously. But this really geographically kind of suits them better, at least is what he said. And so that was kind of their take, is that they fit in well with a lot of other schools, another school in the conference. One of the people that I work with very closely at work, one of our great sports reporters and anchors, Riley Holsinger, he went to Waynesburg University, that's also in the PAC. And he was telling me just about kind of the similarities between Waynesburg and St. Francis, just as far as how they, just in terms of student population, campus size, stuff like that. And I think that all that kind of tied into it. And that, for me, this really kind of comes down to how St. Francis and the administration, I guess, kind of viewed themselves, if that makes sense. Totally.
You, as we touched on before, you were covering that watch party during the March Madness game, the jubilation of the students. And now with this announcement that really changes the tone on campus and the community amongst the alumni, have you gotten reaction from current students, current student athletes, alums? If so, what has that reaction been?
Starting, I guess, with just students, whenever I was leaving the press conference, and I was really on campus that day for about half the day. It was actually a pretty nice day out in Loretto. I don't know if you've ever been there, but we always joke, once you cross the mountain, go over towards Crescent, it doesn't matter if it's 75 degrees in Altoona, it could be snowing in Crescent. It was a really nice day out. And so as I was walking around, I had a couple students come up to me, and I'm in the WTAJ station car, and a couple of them just had said to me, wow, you guys have really been on campus a lot this past week. And, since the announcement was made, and just in talking with those kids, there's a lot of shock and a lot of, they don't really understand why this is happening. Mainly because and St. Francis's athletic facilities are gorgeous. Their basketball gym there are far worse D1 basketball gyms in Pennsylvania. But their basketball gym is very beautiful inside. Their football field is gorgeous. And so that was a lot of just kind of what I was hearing from students, is that they didn't understand, we've been putting, there's been this much money, kind of put into upgrading facilities and all this. And they didn't really understand, why now? Why the sudden change? And I think what didn't sit right with students, student athletes, even some alumni that we've heard from too, have reached out to the station. I think what really bothers all of them is the timing of it all. Because not only is this coming a week after the first NCAA tournament bid in 30 some years. Like, keep in mind, the football program just got its first win against an FBS opponent ever last year against Kent State, which was really a big deal for this area. Like, there was a lot of people, like, you started hearing about Red Flash football some more, and they didn't have the greatest season, ever or anything like that. But that's something that they were able to kind of hang their hat on. And there was a lot of pride from that sticking around, and like felt that they were building up to it. And so I feel like that the timing of it all is just not sitting right with anybody right now. I remember I asked one, we weren't sure if there was going to be protesters outside of the building where this, the press conference was going to be. And there was no protesters. I actually asked one student who was walking past, like, if she had heard anything about that. And she said no, but that she's heard rumors of students talking about like wanting to do walkouts, stuff like that. It's just understandably so. A lot of people are very shocked and frustrated by this.
I think I also saw in your story, maybe one of the stories on WTAJ by a different reporter, there was a petition that was put out that has over 2,000 signatures.
Yeah, that was in, I believe that was in my story. It might have been in mine or John Drager's, or it's hard to, it all meshes together. But there was a change.org petition that was made up last time. Let me try to see actually if I can find that here. I'm very curious. Like how many signatures that has currently, because whenever I looked at it last week, it was titled, urge St. Francis administration to convert back to reconsider leaving D1. And last I looked at it, I believe there was like 2,700 signatures.
Wow. So more signatures than students.
Oh yeah. And like you go down through the comments on it and really just the reach of it. I remember I was just reading down through the comments on the petition, and so many of these were like, I don't go to St. Francis, but my dad does. And once a year he travels back for the football games with his old college friends, was one. And like, he's very upset about this. And it just feels, like everybody has a story kind of relating back to some athletic event, from their time at St. Francis. And it just seems like everybody's kind of this is a decision that's brought a lot of hurt for a lot of people.
Totally get that.
I'm trying to find this. I apologize. I'm trying to find this link for. I don't know. I apologize. I can't find where that petition is. I'll have to look that up later. But,
here, I think I just found it.
Okay.
3,209.
Okay, so we're almost double the student population now.
Almost double the student population. And just to dive deeper into the history of this athletic department, as you said, their softball program is renowned in the region. The football program beat Kent State earlier this year. They are 2 or 3 seasons removed from an FCS playoff appearance, having won the conference. Men's basketball just made the tournament, of course. So this is not a program that loses across the board. No, this program has had a lot of success over the years.
Hi, I'm Michael. I'm one of the PAC-Hub's AI specialists. Today, I want to show you why PAC-Hub is the ultimate platform for college baseball players looking to transfer to a new college program. First, let's take a look at our extensive network of coaches. With over 150 coaches actively using our system, you have a huge pool of experts to connect with. Imagine having access to all these experienced coaches searching for talent like yours. You even have the ability to connect with any of these coaches via our internal messaging system. This means more opportunities to showcase your skills and find the perfect new team. Now let's switch gears and see things from a coach's perspective. Coaches can easily search for athletes by position or stat. Let's say I'm looking for a left-handed pitcher with good pitching stats. With just a few clicks, I can find top-performing pitchers who meet my criteria. This efficient search functionality ensures that coaches find the perfect fit for their teams and athletes get matched with opportunities that suit their strengths. PAC-Hub is all about connecting talent with opportunity. Whether you're an athlete looking to transfer to a new college team or a coach searching for the next star player, PAC-Hub has the tools you need to succeed. Don't miss out on the chance to be part of this amazing community. Join PAC-Hub today and take the next step in your baseball journey. Visit www.pac-hub.com to sign up now.
One of the interesting aspects about this story is that St. Francis will remain Division I for one more academic year. So they'll finish out the 24-25 year in the next couple of months. Next year is the 25-26 year. They will still be D1. And then after that, they go to the D3 level in the PAC, that new conference that they will be joining. Do you think that it will be difficult for St. Francis to maintain and put together rosters for this upcoming season, given that it's just one final season at the D1 level?
I don't want to, how do I want to say this? I don't want to speculate too much on it because, and I don't want to sound, I don't want this answer to sound, like this is me, kind of mocking the athletic department, anything like that I think that there's some great, there are great personnel, athletic history, administrators, everything at St. Francis. And so I think as far as if this is going to impact their coaches' abilities to recruit and to form a roster, I think for me at least I'm kind of curious myself to watch that play out. Just because, you've seen, as I mentioned before and everything on social media, you see all the student athletes making jokes and everything about oh yeah, we're jumping in the transfer portal super quick and stuff along those lines. I'm curious to see how many of those athletes decide to stay, and whether or not, for the first couple years then in the PAC, even past that, depending on how many of those student athletes depend to stay, if that would maybe even give them an unfair advantage in some respects. Or it could be, the total opposite, like you said, where they might just have difficulty filling out rosters on these teams. And so I really don't know. I mean, especially with a lot of stuff changing right now, I wouldn't be surprised if you saw, other coaches who've been at St. Francis for a while maybe decide to leave and search for other D1 opportunities, stuff along those lines. Now, I don't have any inside info on that or anything. That's just me speculating. But whenever you have longtime head coach Rob Krimmel leave, and then you a new head coach is brought in, and I'm really interested myself, I guess, is my answer to that. I know that that's not the best, maybe what you're looking for, but I'm really interested myself to just kind of see how that all plays out.
No, it makes complete sense because it's such a unique situation. You oftentimes see teams going the opposite way. I mean, there had been a nice run of programs that have gone from D2 to D1, or even I think of St. Thomas in Minnesota going from D3 to D1. So that's one thing. But going from D1 to D3, having that kind of awkward gap year in between, I'm curious to see as well. You mentioned the social media postings of these student athletes saying they'll enter the portal. I read about a couple of the men's basketball players who have already done so. So we will continue to see what's to come from St. Francis. But certainly an interesting story. Again, we talk about a lot of the great success stories in this program, a lot of the really cool changes and also some of the uncertainty in the landscape of college sports. This certainly one of the sad stories, because St. Francis, like you said, it's a special place for many people who go to football games there every year, who watch their sports, and of course for the student athletes as well. But Jordan, really appreciate your time today. Great job covering this story. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
There you have it. Jordan Mansberger, a multimedia journalist for WTAJ in Altoona, Johnstown, the CBS affiliate over in Central PA. A really interesting story talking about St. Francis going from D1 to D3. Definitely check out Jordan's stuff on the WTAJ website as well. Again, a big thanks to all of you for joining us. Make sure to subscribe and to like the video. Feel free to leave a comment if you have any thoughts on this issue, or if you want us to cover anything else in the world of college athletics. And lastly, a reminder, take a look, bottom of your screen. We are powered by PAC-Hub, PAC-HUB.com. Again, PAC-HUB.com. PAC-Hub, connecting athletes with opportunities. As a student athlete, it's your chance to stand out. As a coach, it's your opportunity to find that missing piece. Thanks again for joining us. We will talk to you soon.